So Season of the Deep is now concluding. Today is the last reset. I have no idea if there's an exotic mission. I haven't seen anything on that. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. Or I shouldn't say exotic mission, a finale mission. Who knows? Let's see how things go. Yeah. So this is being recorded the day before. If there is, this is dropping right before the resets. And I want to talk about Season of the Deep in a constructive way. By no means was this a great season. Even though I did enjoy the narrative, I think it was strong. It should have been the Lightfall campaign. And the dungeon is amazing. The content is amazing. But that stuff felt very disconnected to the other parts of the season. Salvages and deep dives, they weren't fun to play. And they felt very unrewarding. And the weapon arsenal for this season, specifically the taken weapons, and even the reprisal weapons. The reprisal weapons don't feel anything like they were in the past. And they don't feel like they have a place in the sandbox. They're all kind of pushing stuff that isn't current to what players want or players need in their loadout choice. I'm not saying every season needs to introduce a broken Ikelos SMG with Volt Shot, but every season should bring some weapons that are tied to the seasonal artifact and fit the current sandbox that Bungie is deciding for in that current season, whether it's PvE or PvP. I do think the Gambit reprisal weapons have a better place in PvP, but besides that, nothing really stands out as, a must have. So let's jump in and talk about my favorite season ever, so we get a good grasp of why I'm being so harsh on this season. Let's talk about Season of the Splicer. This season was by far my favorite season, and the main reason why were the weapons themselves were amazing. I personally love the Vex Network stuff, the Vex Overload stuff, their missions tied to it, the gear aesthetically, everything was amazing. And everything fit the sandbox and seasonal artifact of that time. I forget exactly what it's called, but I'm pretty sure there was a mod in Season of Splicer where hitting an enemy with a grenade launcher would weaken them. And, people were mainly using grenade launchers. I had an ignition code with Vorpal and Slideaways, and I would just decimate some of the stuff because that seasonal artifact mod and that weapon were incredible. That had great synergy with that type of stuff. And when we slid over to Season of Deep, we got a lot of stuff that just, again, doesn't feel good or fit the sandbox. The Stasis SMG is basically hurt by the fact that it is a stasis weapon. Stasis weapons in the kinetic slot are the weapons you don't want to have because they don't hit as hard, and the overall stasis intrinsic values, Headstone, doesn't really benefit like unraveling rounds on Strand. And let's slide over to a Strand weapon, the Pulse weapon and the shotgun in this season. These two weapons are, great in terms of the fact that they're Strand, they have unraveling rounds and things like that, but they're outside what is appropriate and what is valued in the PvE sandbox. It may sound elitist, but you don't really need these weapons at all because they're not really anything special. So how would we make these weapons feel special? I don't know. Maybe changing the sandbox a little bit, maybe making them more Strand, Arc, and Void based. It's kind of wild that you introduce stasis weapons in a season with no stasis benefits. And yes, next season can have tons of stasis pros to it, but doesn't it seem a little bit strange you're introducing weapons that are not the subclass being promoted that season? It just mind boggles me, and it's part of the reason why a lot of my playing time in Season of the Deep was doing activities that weren't part of the season. Yes, the dungeon is technically part of the season, but it's endgame. Endgame, I can kind of disconnect myself from that, and not everyone can play the endgame. Granted, dungeons are 3 players, that should be easier to come by than 6 players for a raid. It's still a struggle, and I want to see Bungie in the upcoming seasons really prioritize synergy between seasonal artifacts, seasonal arsenals, and seasonal sandboxes. It's just something we saw on Splicer that was great, that was very much lacking in Season of the Deep. And then on top of that, the salvages, it was, again, Bob the Builder. Like, I literally call it the Bob the Builder activity. You're going in there and you're building things back up. Like, we're paracausal beings, we're guardians, we fight shit for a living, we taking out gods, and we're building stuff and repairing stuff. Like, it doesn't sit well with me. It bothers me. And then same with deep dives. A lot of building mechanics, and then on top of that, it's very punishing for very little reward. Fun story. One time I did a deep dive. This is actually the last time I ever did a deep dive. And I got reward tier 7. We beat the activity. We opened the chest. And I only get, I shit you not, 2 deep engrams. Like, what the You know how punishing those things can be? How frustrating and how exhausting mentally those activities can? To just get 2 deep engrams? I have not played deep dives ever since then, and I promise you, I have no desire to do that. I already have the exotic. I don't need to revisit those activities ever again. And that's a shame. That is a travesty. I didn't love Season of Defiance, but you'll catch me playing more Defiant Battlegrounds than I would ever touch deep dives and salvages. They're fun to play, even though I don't love the rewards of Season of Defiance. That's a good balance. Season of Plunder had a very fun activity with pirate ships and all that stuff. The rewards weren't great, but the activity was fun, and there was a balance at least in that regard. This doesn't have fun weapons, and this doesn't have fun activities. So that's why most of my time this season was playing other seasonal activities that weren't tied to Season of the Deep. And for the future, Bungie, I mean this in a sincere way, you can do yourselves tons of favors to the community in a simple way. Game design is not easy. I'm not saying this is simple, but if you build your weapons around a seasonal PvE sandbox or PvP sandbox, you focus your arsenal around that focus, and you keep your seasonal artifacts around that structure, you will be, in my opinion, doing miles better on content for loot than you are with Season of the Deep stuff or Season of Defiance stuff. Some of this stuff is just like a cheat code, in my opinion, that I'm surprised they're not pressing more often, because I would have no complaints. Oh, they're offering me PvE valued weapons every season. Cool. They're new stuff I can farm, I can get. That's all I want in Destiny. It's a looter shooter, for goddammit. I want to grind. I want to play. I want to spend time. I want to loot, grind, whatever. And you're giving me stuff that has no value to me. I'm very cynical, maybe like that. My buddy Dennis kind of says, like, damn, like, just like that. Like, I tell him it doesn't have an origin trait, dismantle it. You only need 1 great solar SMG. You only need 2 void weapons that are primaries. Like, I'm cynical like that sometimes with being honest with reviews. But I'll be honest, Season of Splicer, I couldn't be cynical. Lately, with these seasons, specifically Defiance, Plunder, Haunted, and now Deep, I could be very cynical about that type of stuff. Seraph did a great job, but I want to see more Seraph, more Splicer, more opulence. Give me some value in some of that stuff, but you leave your thoughts down below. If I gave this season a rating, I don't know if I gave it already. I think it was 3 out of 10 I said. Maybe I got lower if I said it earlier. Who knows? But yeah, I'll give this season a 3 out of 10. Not very good. I'm looking forward to the showcase. I'm looking forward to the next season. I'm still passionately playing this game, despite some of the negative sentiments this channel may be sharing or, you know, telegraphing. I don't think it's that negative, but I have to be honest about a game I love. So share your thoughts down below on this season if you have any. If you guys also enjoy this video and want to support me in some way, definitely hit that like button. It helps out this channel a ton and the video a ton. And if you guys are new here and want more content from me, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell to be notified for when I do drop more content. But till then, that's all I got for this one. ShadowNinja here, and I'm out.